Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builders Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Keedex. This is their part number K-BXDBL234-AL. Their part numbers kind of give away what they are. It's a box, DBL, BX box, DBL double, 2 3/4. Okay, aluminum, AL. Okay, it's not made of steel. So what is this? This is what we would refer to as a weldable gate box. And weldable gate boxes are generally made out of steel, but aluminum and stainless steel are alternative base materials. You would obviously select the base material of what you're going to use to be compatible with the structure that you're building. And why people would buy these, it's because they need to add a lock or locks or some sort of locking hardware or securing hardware to something that's being built. And it's a whole lot cheaper to buy one already made than to make one yourself. Keedex has a relatively petite footprint of products, relatively. And gate boxes, weldable gate boxes, take up a measurable size of that footprint of what they sell. So this item specifically is going to a coastal application in South Carolina. I can just tell by the city, and I can see the state on the paperwork. And aluminum would be a great choice for that, obviously. So I'm imagining that there is, here in Florida, gates are very often made of aluminum. Anything else is just going to fail. Stainless steel would be substantially expensive to make a gate, whether it be swinging or sliding. And this is clearly going to be added into the overall structure of what's happening. Now, what you have to be mindful of with this is to make sure that it's going to fit your application. This is a very likely, most certainly going to be a swinging gate that's going to have a lock and a deadbolt, completely non-handed, totally reversible, however you want to install it. And you'll install most likely a storeroom lock, meaning it's always locked on the outside. You always need a key to come in. You can always exit with the trim, and a deadbolt for additional security, very likely a double cylinder deadbolt to prevent me from reaching in and just flipping that and opening out the gate. It's likely what will happen. Or you occasionally can have an asylum lock down here as well, where there's a key on both sides. Obviously not common, but asylum locks would be something that you could use to prevent that reach around compromise of security. And Keedex also has, I don't know that they have any made of aluminum, but they have knob guards, which are basically cylindrical shaped pieces of material that are so long, or I think there are 2 different depths, for a knob trim that would surface mount onto this, really preventing you from being able to get your hand in there and rotate the trim. So that would complement something like this, but again, I don't think it's in aluminum, just steel. So this is going to allow someone to get this installed. You have to make sure it's going to work. Why do I say that? Well, it has this integrated concept or feature of basically a latch protector or a flat astragal. You do have to make sure that your unit is going to latch with this installed, because the issue that we have here is the design. In my opinion, this design is somewhat flawed, and I'm going to tell you why. Let me tell you why I think this design is somewhat flawed. If you've not hit subscribe yet, we would very much appreciate if you did, and hopefully you're enjoying this video. Now, let's get back to it. So perhaps it's not accurate to say that it's a flawed design, but it can be used in such a way where it's really not going to work very well. And what I mean by that is you've got the overall thickness of your structure, of your weldable gate box. About 1.5 inches, I would guess. About 1 11/16. So this is certainly going to work with, common locks. The issue, though, is that the flat astragal part, or the latch protector part, is actually incorporated in the overall thickness. And the center line of the latch bolt is the overall thickness. Well, you're encroaching into that center line by the thickness of the material, which is 0.123, so yeah, 1/8 of an inch. The issue is when you install your latch bolt, and if your strike plate is installed on that same center line, as you go to close the gate, the latch bolt won't be permitted to go far enough in because it's hitting the face of your latch protector, preventing it from latching. Now, I've had a customer call and say, yeah, I can't push it in far enough. Okay, cut that off. Or modify it in some way. Or relocate your strike. Well, the problem with that is it's all already welded. So be mindful that this will work when you've taken into account the fact that the latch bolt is actually going to possibly not be able to travel in far enough to actually be able to latch. So you'll need to basically account for that. And when I put my tape measure on it earlier, I was measuring from the center line of the screw hole. You know, on the short side, it's 3/4 inch. You know, you can see from the other side, 7/8 of an inch. You know, it's just the fact that it's not centered is an issue, and the fact that it's not centered that we can see shows us that, you know, you might be in a position where you won't be able to push this far enough. So be mindful of that. You'll have to adjust your design. Since we've got the tape measure, overall height of the unit, about 8 3/4. Overall width of the box itself, about 4 3/4. And then the projection of what would be a latch guard, looks like it's about 1 1/8 inch. Center to center of these lock and deadbolt, 4 inch. Not that you can see that very well, 4 inch. And then the 234 in the part number, that surely is a reference to the back set. That's important to know. The edge of the unit to the center of the hole, 2 3/4 inch. Okay, and it's made of aluminum, weighs 1.36 pound, and provided that you take into account the important components of that latch protector, you will be in good shape. Let's switch to the screen view and let's take a closer look at the supporting information. If you've not hit subscribe yet, we would very much appreciate if you did, and hopefully you're enjoying this video. Now, let's get back to it. Okay, here is the item that we are looking at. This is the extended description from the manufacturer. We can take a closer look at all of this right now. The K-BXDBL234 is a double gate box. Weldable gate box? Yeah, this is going to be TIG welded into your aluminum structure. I suppose you could install it other ways. I think I've only seen them welded. The dimensional properties for cylindrical locks, for tubular as well. Tubular or cylindrical locks. 2 3/4 back set, 2 1/8 inch hole. I didn't show you that earlier. It's 2 1/8. 4 inch centers. When you buy one, we'll ship you one. Compatibility, H series by Schlage. That's a discontinued interconnected lock. And a Yale 4800. Okay, the bottom line is anywhere we're 4 inch center to center, 2 1/8 holes, 2 3/4 back set. Any lock that will agree with that, and most definitely 2 separate locks, this gate box would be certainly a candidate for. Specification sheet, let's take a look at that. Some of this will be just duplicated information. That's a cut sheet from the manufacturer. Cross-reference guide. And the handy way to use this document is to, well, first allow me to say it's alphabetical. So if we're looking at Adams Right, being an A, it's going to come up pretty early in the document. And as we scroll through, we get other manufacturers' brands of locks. Corbin Russwin, Dorma, Folger Adams Strikes, and they do make them for strikes as well. Let's say that you're working on a Schlage lock, AL series lever sets, an ALX, AL50, AL80, K-BXRHO, that's your box. If they have it in other materials or other variants, it will be over here. They can do that in aluminum, -AL. They can do it in stainless steel, -SS. And they can do it in a 2 inch thick as well. And that part number is going to be something -2, something like that is what you'll find. You'll notice the ND series takes the same box, as would many, many other grade 1, grade 2 knob and lever sets, you know, typical material. They don't have through-bolt holes drilled in them. They do have boxes that will have some function holes drilled in them, but it's all based on what you're doing. For instance, 10 series, you know, grade 1 cylindrical by Sargent, it's the same box. BXRHO. No through bolt holes in there at all. So very handy document. Then Gatebox catalog, a bit more of a graphical approach to the same document really, but then the entire product line. It's a large document, so it's a bit cantankerous. Here are those knob guards I was mentioning earlier. But as you scroll through this document, you will get to an overview of all of their weldable Gatebox products for locks, electric strikes, things of that nature. Other items are here as well. There's a link below this video, as seen here, to the manufacturer's page where we can pull up not only all the Keedex products we sell by means of this horizontal navigation, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog, which I believe is kind of what we were just in. Gatebox catalog, product catalog, cross-reference. Let's take a look at some images that we have here as well. There's the packaging. Then multiple views on this same item. Oh, so these little semicircle holes, very typical material. Those semicircles at 9 and 3 o'clock are for lock sets that are intended generally to go into wood doors, in the sense that there'll be a very tiny prong or a dimple or a teat on the back side of the rose support structure that are meant to indent into or bite into the face of a wood door to help with rotation. It's an anti-rotation sort of concept. And if you try to install a regular lock into a 2 1/8 inch hole that doesn't have these little half circles here, you'll find it doesn't sit down the way you want it to. So you'll need to, if you were to add a deadbolt preparation, pardon me, a deadbolt isn't going to have this. If you were to add a lock set preparation to a door, a steel door, and you install a standard lock, you'll probably find you'll need to make that small little preparation with your file to get that to work. A deadbolt's going to cover those, but that's why those are there. The backside showing some welding. What would be the secured side? The edge. Top view. Close-up of that area where the latch bolt's going to sit. Obviously 1 inch, 1 1/8 is going to fit in here. Typical 2 1/4 inch tall prep. It's an easy item to manufacture, I guess, conceptually. It's 3 pieces of aluminum that have been punched in the flat, probably with a CNC turret, and then bent on a press brake and then welded together. They're not inexpensive, but you making one of these is likely going to be more expensive than what this would cost you. And it being aluminum, it's certainly more expensive than steel, but anyway. Let's wrap up this video on camera. If you've not hit subscribe yet, we would very much appreciate if you did, and hopefully you're enjoying this video. Now, let's get back to it. Okay, certainly nice folks over at Keedex. I have spoken to them 1 or 2 times. Very helpful, very amenable, just nice folks. If you've got a question on something, hey, that doesn't seem right, or can you help me with this? Yeah, they can, is the short answer. And to them, for that, I say thank you. I have had to call them a couple of times in the past because it just, to me, wasn't obvious, is the bottom line. They also have, I was thinking if there's an application that they can't help us with, there's also blank units that they have. You could have a lock that is just extremely unusual, and you're going to make your own. You could have a deadbolt with a 2 inch back set. They exist. They're not going to have a weldable lock box for that. You could have a mortise lock from 1920, and they're not going to have one with function holes. And in fact, they may not have a mortise box for that at all, because the edge prep on those were like 7 1/4 by 1 1/16 maybe. But they're sure going to get you part of the way there. Wrought iron guys, welders, fabricators, they buy this material. That's who buy, and that's, the sheet metal company is who bought this. So they're clearly making a fence for somebody, or a gate would be my guess. Anyway, if you have any questions on the K-BXDBL234-AL, I think, or any other Keedex product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you. Thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up. Please subscribe and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.